Hello students, welcome to class 11 biology. Today we shall learn about the process of digestion in buccal cavity. The smell and the sight of the food. Once you see the food, so we are just getting triggered towards the food. So the reflex action is also getting triggered. Okay, so that there will be a secretion of saliva. Mechanical digestion starts in the mouth by grinding and chewing the food. It is called as mastication. So the way you chew the food and then swallow, no? So that is what is called as mastication. So it helps. It is helped by saliva. The saliva composition is given there. Water, electrolytes, salivary amylase. Another name for salivary amylase is ptyalin. So P is silent letter there. Ptyalin, and it is antibacterial, and another thing is antibacterial agent lysozyme is present, and lubricating agent mucus or glycoprotein is also present. Do you follow? The mechanical digestion occurs in the mouth through the mastication process, and it is helped by saliva, and saliva composition is given there. Okay, so the mucus in saliva prepares the food for swallowing, moistening, softening, and lubricating, adhering the masticated food, okay, into a bolus. Bolus is a condition where we are swallowing. We are making it as in the form of the ball and we swallow it. Okay, so about 30% of polysaccharide starch is hydrolyzed by salivary amylase itself. That is the ptyalin, that is enzyme present in the saliva. Okay, so the polysaccharide is converted into disaccharide, and bolus then passes through the, after buccal cavity it will be pharynx. Okay, then to esophagus by swallowing. Okay, so that swallowing process is called as deglutition. Follow? So the meaning for deglutition, mastication is one term, then bolus another term, next deglutition. Okay, the bolus further passes down through the esophagus to the stomach by the wavy muscular contraction is called as peristalsis. As I told you earlier, once if you see a person drinking water, if you see the throat region, it will be moving like a wave. Okay, so that is how the muscles contract to push the food inside through the alimentary canal. Okay, so that is what is called as peristalsis. The gastroesophageal sphincter control the passage of food into stomach. Okay, the sphincter muscle, as I told you, it is like a rubber band. Okay, so it just leave way once the food comes in. Okay, and then it again closes off. That is what is called as sphincter muscle. That is about digestion in the buccal cavity. We shall proceed with digestion in the stomach. Food remains in the stomach for 4 to 5 hours. Okay, so then here the gastric juices mix with it to form the condition. The semi-digested food is called as chyme. Follow? As bolus it is taken from the buccal cavity, and in the stomach it is forming chyme. Okay, so this gastric secretion is partly controlled by autonomic reflexes. The secretion autonomic reflexes is concerned with the immediate action, okay, by the nervous system. The secretion of gastric juices begins when food is in the mouth. The gastric juice contains HCl and proenzyme. What does this gastric juice contain? HCl and proenzyme. Okay, proenzyme is not actually enzyme, it is inactive form of enzyme. Follow? So the proenzyme example pepsinogen is getting converted to pepsin when it is exposed to HCl. Do you follow? So we are actually talking about the enzyme proenzyme. This proenzyme enzyme is example is pepsinogen. When it ends with GEN, it is inactive form. Okay, so inactive form of the enzyme. Okay, it is getting converted into active form once it is exposed to HCl. Okay, so the active enzyme is called as the pepsin enzyme. The active enzyme's name is called as pepsin. So what is the role of the pepsin? It converts protein to peptides, that we will learn in tabular column again. Okay, and what is the role of HCl now? HCl provides an acidic medium. This is important question. So what is the role of HCl? It controls the growth of harmful organism and avoids putrefaction. Okay, so whenever you leave food in a place, it gets spoiled. Okay, as we said, in the stomach, the food will stay for 4 to 5 hours. It should not be spoiled in the stomach, right? So it requires acidic medium. Okay, so the food is getting stored and it is prevented from bacterial or other microbial growth with the help of HCl. Again, I am telling you, it is important question, the role of HCl in the stomach. It helps in avoiding the microorganism growth and it avoids putrefaction. Okay, so the mucus and bicarbonates present in the gastric juice plays important role in lubrication and protection of mucosal epithelium. Okay, and this mucus controls the erosion, that is just the removal of the tissues, layers of the tissues by the HCl. Okay, another proteolytic enzyme is found in the gastric juice is renin. Follow? So gastric juice contains, as we said, inactive form of enzyme, that is proenzyme and HCl. Along with that, renin is also present, but it is present only in the case of children, not in the case of adult. Okay, so in infant in renin helps in the digestion of milk protein. You always know children take a lot of milk. Okay, they take a milk only as a dietary food. Okay, so these infants will digest milk. Milk contains protein. The protein's name is casinogen, or you can say it as casein protein. Okay, so this milk protein can be digested. This casinogen is converted into casein in the presence of calcium ion. This enzyme secretion gradually reduces with aging. Renin is seen in the case of small children. Then you have the picture where you are seeing the stomach and gastric raphe. As you know, it is a folded area. It just increases the surface area when we eat more. Gastric raphe is a folded region. It is just getting expanded once you eat more. Follow? So then we have the pyloric sphincter muscle here, okay, which continues with the intestine, small intestine. Okay, so we just go on with this digestion in small intestine. This is also very important because it goes through a lot of steps, and maximum amount of food is getting digested over here. So digestion in small intestine here, bile, pancreatic juice, intestinal juice and other secretions are released into the small intestine. Okay, so digestion to occur in small intestine, it requires the enzymes to be present. Or what are all the enzyme? Pancreatic juice contains enzyme, intestinal juice contains enzyme, and bile as such plays important role in the digestion of fat. Bile plays major role in digestion of fat. Okay, so then we'll see bile contains bile pigment. Bile is in yellow color. Bile is in yellow color. Okay, so how this yellow color appears? Because of the pigments called bilirubin and biliverdin. This is also one of the 2-mark questions. How bile gets the color? Because of the presence of the pigments bilirubin and biliverdin. Okay, how this bilirubin and biliverdin is available for the liver? So it is made available by the dead RBCs. When we studied the function of liver, I told you that the unwanted or aged RBCs are getting destroyed in the liver. By that time, from the RBC, it has got this bilirubin and biliverdin. Okay, and it is also helpful in digesting the cholesterol, phospholipids, and it has got no enzyme specifically. Bile helps in emulsification. This also explained emulsification, making into fine droplets. Okay, single drop is made into fine droplets. That is what is called as emulsification of fat. Bile contain bile salts. It reduces surface tension of the fat droplets, break them into small globule. Bile also activates lipase. Lipase, when once the term ends with ASE. Do you follow? Once the term ends with ASE, it is enzyme. ASE, ACE. Okay, once the term ends with ASE, it is an enzyme. Once the term ends with gen, zymogen, pepsinogen, it is inactive form of enzyme. Follow? So lipases is the enzyme, helps in digestion of lipids and sometimes proteins and partially digested protein in chyme. Do you remember what is chyme? Okay, so then on reaching the intestine acted upon by proteolytic enzymes of pancreatic juice. So far we have learnt about bile. Specifically we have learnt about bile function. Next we are learning about the pancreatic juice. This pancreatic juice contains enzymes. Okay, so what are the enzymes? Trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, carboxypeptidases, pancreatic amylases, pancreatic lipases and nucleases. Do you follow? So here the pancreatic juice contains the enzyme. One is in the inactive form, whichever ends with the word gen. They are all not active form, inactive. ASE, if it ends with, that is called as the active form of the enzyme. I think you have understood. Okay, so the trypsinogen is activated by an enzyme enterokinase secreted by intestinal mucosa. Okay, intestinal mucosa, when we studied about histology, we have studied about the layer mucosa. Do you remember? So where the enterokinase enzyme is being produced, and that helps in making the trypsinogen active. Okay, so which in turn activates the enzyme chymotrypsinogen in the pancreatic juice. Okay, trypsin hydrolyzes protein into polypeptides and peptones, while chymotrypsin hydrolyzes the peptide bonds. Okay, so all those things are given in the form of reaction also. Pancreatic amylase converts glycogen to starch and then again into maltose. Then these are all the reaction that is happening in the small intestine. Lipase acts on the emulsified fat and it hydrolyzes them into the free fatty acids. Okay, and nucleases in pancreatic juice breaks down the nucleic acid into nucleotides and nucleosides. Follow? So then the secretion of Brunner's gland. Make a note, Brunner's gland underline. So along with the intestinal juice, the secretion of Brunner's gland. Okay, so they constitute the intestinal juice, or it is also called as succus entericus. Intestinal juice, another name is succus entericus. The enzyme in the intestinal juice such as maltase, lactase, sucrase, peptidase, lipase, nucleotidase, nucleosidase act on the food and the broken down particles during the digestion. See here what is said. So maltose, we are not eating as maltose. Sometimes when we eat as starch, that is getting digested to maltose. Again it is getting acted upon by the enzyme maltase. Follow? So to form two molecules of glucose. So once it is in the form of glucose, it is easily available in the blood and it helps in producing the energy. Follow? So that is how all the reactions goes on. These reactions you can just learn by heart what is the composition. See here, nucleotide is getting acted upon by nucleotidase, which are given on the arrow mark. Whichever is given on the arrow mark is the name of the enzyme. Okay, and right hand side is the product. Do you follow? So nucleotides getting acted upon by nucleotidase. It produces nucleoside and phosphoric acid. Okay, this is the by-hearting portion of that. The mucus along with the bicarbonate ions from the pancreas provide an alkaline medium for the enzymes to act. Do you follow? So the secretion of pancreas provide alkaline medium, okay, in the small intestine for the enzyme to act. In the stomach, we had the acidic condition to avoid the growth of microbes and also to avoid putrefaction of food. Whenever you come across these alternate terms or the opposite terms, you should recollect. See, here we have seen alkaline. Immediately you should recollect. Somewhere we have studied about acidic system in the digestive system. What is the relationship? Okay, that is how you should read biology. Okay, so I'll just continue with that. The enzymes action: from carbohydrate monosaccharides are formed, from protein amino acids are formed, from lipid fatty acid and glycerol are formed. Okay, so the simple substances formed are absorbed by the villi. As you know, the intestinal villi will absorb. They are present in the jejunum and ileum region of the small intestine. The undigested, unabsorbed substances are propelled to large intestine. The waste material is propelled, it is sent into the large intestine. The activity of gastrointestinal tract is carried out by the neural and hormonal control for proper coordination of different parts. So, whatever be the action that is taking place in our body is being controlled by the nerves and hormone. It is a general thing for all the system. That is what is given here. These work of digesting the food, absorbing the food, and unwanted material is pushed into the large intestine. Everything is being controlled by the neural signals and also the hormonal control. Okay, so then we shall go on for the next in detail: absorption and assimilation of proteins, carbohydrate and fat. So major portion of our food contain protein, carbohydrate and fat. Absorption definition is given. Absorption is a process by which the end product of digestion passes through the intestinal mucosa into the blood and lymph. Okay, what is a lymph? What is lymph? It is a colorless liquid. It is involved in immunological function. So much you know about lymph now. What is lymph? It is a colorless liquid circulating in our body and it is immunological in function. What is immunological? It acts against the disease causing organisms. We'll proceed further. The villi in the lumen of ileum. Lumen is a cavity. Ileum is a part of small intestine. Okay, so villi is also called as absorbing unit. It contains, so we are going to talk about villi now. It contains a lacteal duct and it is surrounded by blood capillaries. So they help in the absorptive process. The process of absorption involves active and passive and facilitated transport. Just you learn these terms, we will learn in detail later on in the succeeding process lessons. Okay, active, passive, facilitated transport of the material. Okay, small amounts of glucose, amino acid, electrolytes like chloride ions are generally absorbed by simple diffusion, and passage of the substance into the blood depend on the concentration gradient. What is concentration gradient? It is difference in concentration. Okay, so then some of the substances like fructose are absorbed with the help of carrier ions like sodium ion. This mechanism is called as facilitated transport. Okay, so then we have the nutrients like amino acid and glucose and electrolytes like sodium are absorbed into the blood against concentration gradient by active transport. From lower concentration to higher concentration, if the ions are moving, it is against concentration gradient. From lower to higher, it is against concentration gradient. From higher to lower, it is towards concentration gradient. So the The insoluble substances like fatty acid, glycerol, and fat substances, vitamins are first incorporated into small spherical water soluble droplets called as micelles. Okay, so they are absorbed in the form of micelles. They are just getting added up with the water for the purpose of absorption. Okay, so then the that is about the micelles and are absorbed into the intestinal mucosa. Okay, so this micelles, once that is there in the mucosa, they are resynthesized. Again, they are synthesized into protein coated fat globules called chylomicrons. What are chylomicrons? Protein coated fat droplet. Okay, so which are then transported into the lacteals. What is lacteal? It is a lumen of the villi. It is present in the villi. Okay, so they within the intestinal villi eventually empty into the lymphatic duct. Lymphatic duct ultimately releases the absorbed substance into the bloodstream. So that is how it is getting added up with the bloodstream. While fatty acids are absorbed by the lymph duct, other materials are absorbed either actively or passively. Active transport involves the use of energy. When we use energy, it is called as active transport. When we don't use energy, it is called as passive transport. When active transport is done, energy is utilized in the form of ATP molecule. In active transport, energy is utilized in the form of ATP molecule. Okay. Water soluble vitamins are absorbed by the simple diffusion process, that is just movement towards the concentration gradient. Transport of water depends on the osmotic gradient. So water, if it is required, it is taken in. If it is not required, it is just discarded. Okay, absorption of substances in the alimentary canal takes place in mouth, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. However, maximum absorption occurs in small intestine. Do you follow? Absorption is a process that is happening throughout the digestive system. Okay, but maximum of absorption occurs in the small intestine. Absorption of simple sugar, alcohol and medicine takes place in stomach. Certain drugs are absorbed in blood capillaries in the lower side of the tongue itself or the mucosa of the mouth. Sometimes you might have seen some people are taking medicine by putting it under the tongue. Immediately it will be absorbed. Do you follow? You should not think absorption occurs only in small intestine. From mouth the absorption occurs. What is the purpose of absorption? Material is taken to the blood. Okay, it does not require necessarily it should go to small intestine. Medicine and all will get absorbed easily under the tongue and in the mouth and also in the stomach itself. Follow? So the absorbed substances are transferred through the blood and lymph to the liver through the hepatic portal system. From liver, nutrients are transferred to all the other regions of the body for utilization. All body tissues uses the absorbed material. Okay, and they incorporate it into the protoplasm, and this process is called as assimilation. Okay, then coming to it is made available in the cell. Once it is coming to blood, it is absorption. From blood to the cell, it is assimilation. Okay, so coming to digestion, it is unabsorbed food is getting sent off. See, the digestive waste and unabsorbed substances in the ileum is a part of small intestine, enters into the large intestine, and it mostly contains fiber and roughages. Okay, this roughage is utilized by symbiotic bacteria. We have more of E. coli being present in our stomach that helps in the synthesis of vitamin K. Okay, all these substances are absorbed in the colon along with water, Waste is then solidified into fecal matter and it is stored in the rectum, and then it is causing the neural reflex. Okay, from through the nerve system, it causes the desire for its removal. Okay, and then digestion of the unabsorbed material is occurring. Okay, so it is a voluntary process and it is carried out by the peristaltic movement. This also is being done by the peristaltic movement. Then coming to nutrients, vitamins and minerals. So food comprises of macro and micronutrient, so which is required in larger quantity, or macronutrients small quantity. If it is required, it is called as micronutrient. Okay, so essential nutrients are something which is not being synthesized by our body. It should essentially being taken up by the food only. We cannot synthesize, we have to take only through the food. They are called as essential nutrients. Macronutrients are lipids, carbohydrates, proteins. Micronutrients are vitamins, minerals. And water plays important role in metabolic process and it prevents dehydration. Intake of too much of food and less of food leads to malnutrition. Okay, so the malnutrition again will cause some disease. Okay, and it should be the food we take should be the balanced diet. What is balanced diet? Carbohydrates and fat are energy yielding and proteins are growth and replacement activity, and vitamins and minerals, waters are for the regulation of the physiological processes. Vitamins are naturally occurring organic substance. They are needed only in minute quantity. A, D, E, K are fat soluble vitamin. B and C are water soluble vitamin. Okay, so if you take B and C vitamin more in quantity, if it is not required by our body, it will be sent off because it is water soluble, easily soluble, and it can be sent off. A, D, E, K are the vitamin which are fat soluble. If it is taken in larger quantity, it may cause some disease, that is hypervitaminosis. Hyper, increased vitaminosis, increase in vitamin. Then coming to minerals, so calcium, iron, iodine, potassium, magnesium, sodium, phosphorus, sulfur, all these are the minerals. Okay, so some of the minerals are required in very less quantity. They are called as trace minerals. Iron, copper, zinc, cobalt, manganese, iodine and fluorine. Sodium ions are more abundant than any other cation in the body fluid. Okay, so then we have about the fat soluble vitamin. Okay, then water soluble vitamin, names, function, and what are the deficiency diseases. You have already learned in lower classes, you can just read through that. Okay, so then coming to the calorific value of the carbohydrate, protein and fat. Okay, so we are getting energy from carbohydrate. Most of the energy is being given by the carbohydrate. The calorific value of carbohydrate is 4.1 kilocalorie per gram. 1 gram can yield 4.1 kilocalories. Lipid can give the energy of 9.45 kilocalorie per gram. Okay, so then the protein. So protein is a source of amino acid required for growth and repair, as we have learnt already. And the calorific value is 5.65 kilocalories and 4 kilocalories. Okay, so per gram. Then we have the Indian Council of Medical Research and World Health Organization says that the protein requirements for an average Indian is 1 gram per 1 kg body weight. 1 gram per 1 kg body weight. If your body weight is 50, so you have to take 50 grams of protein. Okay, nutritional and digestive disorders. So even we are taking care of our body, sometimes we just end up with some disorders. Okay, so the maybe due to several reasons. First, the colitis is explained. That is inflammation of the colon is called as colitis. The symptom is rectal bleeding. So during the rectum can bleed. Okay, and abdominal cramps. Cramps, do you understand? It is a pain, pulling pain. Sometimes diarrhea. And the protein energy malnutrition, it is most important in our country. Because of lack of nutrition, the children may suffer from marasmus and kwashiorkor. So here we have symptoms: dry skin, pot belly, odema is swelling of the leg and face, stunt growth is less growth, change in hair color, weakness, irritability. Okay, these are all the symptoms of kwashiorkor. And marasmus is an acute form of protein malnutrition. This is due to inadequate carbohydrate and protein. Please listen. Marasmus is due to inadequate carbohydrate and protein. Okay, so then we have such children may suffer with the diarrhea and body becomes lean and weak. Emaciation means weak. Okay, and reduced fat in the muscle and thin folded skin. Next condition we have is about the indigestion. So it is one of the digestive disorders, so leading which leads to feeling fullness of the stomach. Okay, so if there is no proper digestion occurring, it may be due to inadequate enzyme secretion, and may be due to food poisoning or overeating or spicy food. Constipation is a condition where there is no egestion of the unwanted material occur regularly, that causes the constipation, and it may affect the physical activity. Vomiting is a reverse peristalsis. This action is controlled by the vomiting center in the medulla oblongata. Okay, so then feeling nausea, then it proceeds with the vomiting due to various causes. Jaundice, so it is a defective liver causes the jaundice. Deposition of the pigments from the liver causes the color of the eye to become yellow and the skin to become yellow. Sometimes jaundice may also be caused as a viral infection. Liver cirrhosis, so degeneration and destruction of the liver cells results in the liver cirrhosis. It is also called as deserted liver or scarred liver. It may be due to the infection or consumption of the poison or malnutrition, and alcoholism is a major cause. And gallstone, as you know, bile is stored in the gallbladder. Okay, bile is stored in the gallbladder. Sometimes it may cause the whatever is salt is being stored and cholesterol is there. They form the crystalline material, that is what is called as the gallstone. The gallstones causes obstruction in the cystic duct, hepatic duct, and also hepatic pancreatic duct, and it may cause the pain, jaundice, and pancreatitis. So next we have appendicitis, the inflammation of vermiform appendix leading to severe abdominal pain. Okay, the treatment is the removal of the appendix through surgery. Okay, and if it gets ruptured, it may result in the peritonitis, that is infection of the peritoneum. Okay, then we have hernia, hiatus hernia. So this may be due to the protrusion. What is protrusion? It is just a change in the place of this particular region of the stomach. The exact cause of this hernia is not known. In some people may be due to injury, may be due to weakening of the muscle, or by applying too much pressure on the stomach may cause such kind of hernia. So the heartburn is also the common in those with this hernia condition. In this condition, stomach content travel back to the esophagus and oral cavity and causes pain in the center of the chest. Okay, so this hernia can also be treated through surgery. Diarrhea is the most common gastrointestinal and worldwide disease. Okay, so this it sometimes causes the bacterial, or it may be caused by the bacterial or viral infection. Okay, so then coming to the oral hydration therapy, that causes the some subsidence of the diarrhea. Okay, drinking plenty of fluids may stop or control the ill effects of diarrhea. Then coming to important digestive disorder, that is peptic ulcer. Okay, eroded area in the stomach or the duodenum. This is called as the ulcer. and it may occur between the age of 25 to 45. The gastric ulcer is most common in the person above the age of 50. The ulcer is mostly due to the infection caused by the bacterium Helicobacter pylori. Okay, so it may be due to the uncontrolled usage of aspirin, certain anti-inflammatory drug. Ulcer may also be the cause due to smoking, alcohol, caffeine. Caffeine is a material present in coffee, and due to psychological stresses. Then we have another condition called obesity. It is caused due to the storage of excess body fat in the adipose tissue. Okay, it may cause or it may induce hypertension, that is high BP. Okay, atherosclerosis is a heart disease, diabetes. Okay, so these are all the diseases side effects of this obesity. Degree of obesity can be assessed by body mass index, that is BMI. A BMI level should range from 19 to 25 only. Above 25 it is considered as obese. Okay, how do you calculate BMI for yourself? Okay, if you are a person of 50 kg and you have height of 160 centimeter, you have to convert into meter. Height you should convert into meter. Follow? 1.6 meter. Then the formula is weight in kg by height in meter square. That gives your BMI. Do you follow? Shall I repeat BMI? So your weight you have to take in kg first. Then your height you have to take in meters. Weight in kg divided by your height in meters square. Height in meter you take, then make it square. The answer will give you BMI for your body. Okay, if it is below 25, you are safe. Okay students, so far we have learnt about human digestive system. What are the parts of human digestive system? Histology, various layers of digestive system, and how digestion occurs. What are enzymes? What are inactive form of enzyme? And how it is controlled by the nerves. And then if the digestion does not occur properly or some disorders happen in the digestive system, few are discussed. Okay, so with that this lesson is over. Your homework is to take notes while listening to the class and submit it for correction. Thank you students.